Hey everybody, this is Perch, and I hope you're doing well. It's what day is today? Wednesday? It's Wednesday. That's
New
right.
comic
Okay.
book day. New comic book day, my friend.
It is New Comic Book Day, and it is New Comic Book Day. What a weird experience getting to this point. So we're going to get into kind of the backstory. We're going to talk about this comic. We're going to talk about kind of what this all means, where it's going. I see some people in the chat. Thanks for coming and being along. This should be a kind of a chill party kind of atmosphere right before we get right into New York City Comic Con and everything else. But this is all an experiment. So this is the key. It's an experiment. Let's go and kind of talk about what we've got here. Obviously, I've got a guest here with me. It's Larry. How you doing, Larry? You've been on the show.
It's been a while, but yes, I'm doing
Yeah, good.
quite well. It's not interesting day today. A very
It's an
interesting
interesting day.
day.
It's an interesting day, and we're going to learn together. I mean, so if I can take everybody back, we're going to talk about this comic. We're going to launch here. We're going to talk about kind of what it all means. And I want to remind people of a promise I made quite a long time ago. And that was basically that when we did this, when we kind of put some stuff out with a comic, that we were going to, I was going to be very transparent with it. That's the key. And what we want to do is use this not just to launch something, but also hopefully demystify some of this process, because my goal here has been and has always been help get people comics out from everyone. And that is where we're going. So I see Mumbles is in the chat. It's good to see you, Mumbles. We couldn't do this without you, really. But Larry, how long? So let's go back to the origins of this. We talked about doing a comic. Well, really, you talked about doing a comic, and then I was going to help out. Take us back to the beginning here.
Okay, everyone knows Perch is very humble. He's a very humble
That
man.
is not true, but okay.
I disagree. You're a salt of the earth type.
Yeah. Well,
Is that
salt
word?
and definitely old as earth, but yes,
Salty. You're very
I'm very
salty at
salty.
times.
I am. Yes.
Just don't mention the ARBY apostrophe S around you.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm.
But what happened is, and we started talking 2018, and you showed some art. You did some sketches of a comic character. I did this Bioroid sex bot turned cop named Peaches, and I was like, "Oh, you need to do a comics." I don't got the time, which is very true for a lot of people, and especially somebody as busy as you. And I was like, "Well, maybe we'll work on a comic together. We'll shoot some ideas. Let's brainstorm." And eventually, 2020 rolls around. World's going to hell in a handbasket. What's
That's
new?
true. Yeah.
I mean, grand scheme of things, could be worse. Could be a Toba explosion. Could be Genghis Khan cutting off tens of thousands of heads, and Black Plague sweeping across Europe. People being, I'm not sick, being boarded up in their houses with their family, which I know a lot
All
of
right.
people felt like that. But
You've gone astray here a little bit, but yes, I hear
but
you.
but, but we were shooting back and forth, and I'm like, okay, let's come up with some ideas. So you sent a little prompt
Mhm.
of a actiony kind of concept of these two, like basically like the Hardy Girls, as it were.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, let's. So I added a little something to it, shot it back to you, back and forth for like 2 or 3 days, and eventually you came up with some sketches. And I don't know if you have those on hand.
I think
Uh,
there's some I've got in here later. Yeah.
okay, but there's some sketches that Perch came up with, and I took those as some inspiration. I'm going to do one to one because I'm going to do my own thing, and because it's a collaboration. This isn't some Marvel method where he writes a paragraph, go off and do my book, and I get all
I
the credit.
I did almost nothing here. I want to clarify.
He,
This
okay, but what you did do, it's like just because you didn't have a daily, you weren't inking the pages and everything, but you are very important because a book wouldn't exist. I would have gone off and done another story of some kind. But I've been with this comic for over a year now because of it took a little bit getting off the ground, but here we are. We are a pretty good collaborative. I think I really enjoyed the collaborative process. It was like, what do you think of this? What do you think
Mhm.
of this? And it's like, okay, let's nudge a little bit this way. Don't want to make it too sexual. I mean, you can go that route, which ain't no problem. I have no problem picking up those kind of comics or selling those comics or
Mm.
making them.
Yep.
But it's like you limit your market. You go to Kitty, like,
Not that low, but yeah.
but yeah, it's like like you want to like balance in the middle and
Yeah.
not be like like or fence sit, some people might say.
Not offense fitting. Yes.
No, but
Yeah.
it's this idea of like, what, like comics where you can pick up and enjoy whether you're, 13 or 30 or more.
Right.
And that was one of the processes. And so we kind of back and forth and came up with a cover image and going off a little this, that, and the story started coming together, bouncing ideas off of you. And before we know it, 48-page pencils are done. You said, "Hey, it looks good to me." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to this." And eventually it got wrapped up, printed up, and here we are.
Yeah, it's exactly right. So this comic, yes, is called Gemini Jump, and this is something, Larry, you came up with. And let's just start doing this. So we've got this comic here. It's the Indiegogo on this, and we'll get to, we're launching there, and we'll talk a little bit more about that and why. It's live, so you can go there now. We'll flash the link up here in a moment. And there are a couple more things about this, though, is, and this is, I'm not trying to pretend like this was the first idea in the works. There's lots of great people who are doing this model now. One of the things that was important, and this gets into some of the delays in getting this, because Larry, you finished the pencils, inks, kind of putting this together. When was that? Beginning of the year?
That was December 2020. We got the
Yeah.
cover finished because of, well, trying to asking the colorist who's already busy, and I know a
Mhm.
colorist. Her name is Lizelle Buenaventura. She's worked. Uh, she did a comic for Scoot. No, sorry, it was Scout.
Scout. Scout
Uh,
would be a funnier publisher name,
no,
though.
that is the
Yeah.
under. I think that's the kid friendly book. They came from outer space.
Yep.
A comic and send up to like ET and Vaders from Mars and stuff like that. And she does comics, does comics art, but also coloring as well. And I enjoy her work. And I said, "Hey, could you cover this? You got time?" It's like, "Well, it's a little busy. Also, it's holiday season, even with everything going on."
Mhm.
And did amazing color work. That's her colors on the for the cover image on the right hand side. And
Yeah.
and
Now,
most
she
people,
was part of why she was busy, and this is just like tossing red meat and bait to Mumbles, who's in our chat here. It is, I believe she did something with Joe Corallo on Beckstar, correct? With colors?
I think so. I'm not sure. I know she's worked with uh, Terry
I'm
Mayo, who did work on some alternative books. She's done work,
Yeah,
pretty much every.
all over the
And
place.
yeah, so
Yeah.
she's done work for a lot of these people, and uh, I enjoy her work, and also I contacts in the industry. Like I've had a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people. They've hired artists, hired
Yep.
colorists, splitters. They start some work and they never finish it. Well, especially if you want to hire somebody, might want to know them a little bit, especially during
Yeah.
Christmas time, Christmas, New Year's, and during this chaos. So, you know, take the safe bet. And she worked out great. I was like, yes, yes, fine. If we had the funding and the money, the time, mainly the time, to do entire book, but I wanted the black and white because I enjoyed doing black and white work. I understand a lot of people like, I want color. I'm like, most of the
Yeah.
world doesn't read in color, and that's fine. I'm like, and
Well,
it's one of
and
those things. But
it sounds kind of silly now, but we did want to get something out quickly. So we get this thing kind of wrapped up at the beginning, or basically the end of the year. And then it took then there was some confusion around printing and everything else. So this thing has been quiet for 9 months now of getting this all put together and getting the basics done, getting it printed. It was printed and delivered back in the summer, and so it got bagged and boarded. In fact, here's kind of some things about it. So this is a 48-page comic, traditional comic size, full color cover, black and white interior, like you mentioned. Stock is good. I don't. This is where I feel stupid. I should give the number for the paperweight and everything else. But it is I would say it's what you expect, but I think the paper quality we have here is better than what you're getting in Marvel these days. It is a full story from start to finish. However, and we might as well put this: you are how far how far are you on the second issue here?
pencil's 100% done. Ink's about 80%.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to getting that one. But then with the issues of the paper right now, it's going to be a little bit either way. Because I'm not going to launch anything till we fulfill this one. So
Yeah,
that's
it
another
will.
thing. Like we have, you gotta have some standards. I don't want to like, hey, here's a book concept. If we don't have anything done, thing's done. It's 100% done. We got copies on hand, And same thing with any kind of follow-up project, sequel, what have you. But all of them are all stories going to be self-contained. That's going to be the best thing about it. It's not. One thing I can't stand is when I see. Technically, this is a book. This is the first Gemini Jump issue, but it's not issue one. As like you could read these out of order and still understand who the characters are, understand their dynamic with each other and the world around them, the conflict that they're in, but not have to be like, oh, I didn't read this issue, so it's like editor's note, which is fine when you can easily get back issues, but if there's no back issues to get, or go read this article where it's explained what the world is and this and that, like all the little ins and outs details. It's a companion book, which is unnecessary. But you read a lot of 90s comics. It's like, you read some Young Bloods and all that kind of stuff. It's like, there's no story there. It's no character there. But in an interview where you got, Rob or whoever talking, it's like, oh, that's where all the character is. Over here, it's like in the interview, but nothing's in the book itself. It's just like, so you should go in there and get Wizard to compile all the, well, this character, they've met in combat in Vietnam, or whatever. And it's like, it's in there. It's a complete package, and it's a total package. It's the Lex. This comic is the Lex Luger of comics.
Oh, there you go. No, don't Lex Luger comics. Jesus, no.
Hey,
no.
The Lexorcist, the Narcissus. He wasn't that bad. It's like the bionic forearm, man. Come on, you gotta respect the bionic forearm.
So, well, okay, fair enough. It is. So basically, here's the comic, and it's. So now let's go into kind of some of what is there. So right now we have it as $10 all in, the comic and the shipping. Now here's again where the transparency will come in, and I will post this on Substack, and I'll do some videos. I'm going to post screenshots of some of this stuff because what I'm hoping comes out of this is that we're basically able to give some information out there, show some ways it's done. Other people have done this too. Again, I'm not trying to claim I'm the first with any of this because lots of people have done it. But I want more people to go out there and make comics and want to provide some easier ways to do it and try and get some efficiencies of scale, basically, of how we get more people able to put out comics and benefit from kind of mistakes or benefits things that people have done. The shipping is like half of this cost, which is just mad to me on all levels. But part of why this is lower is because what I've been doing is trying to set up a fund and a system where basically the ad money that's coming off of YouTube is funding this. So that's why we were able to do all of this. I mean, again, it's printed, it's done. There's a question in the chat about fulfillment. When does it fulfill? Immediately, as soon as the kind of we start with Indiegogo here, but as soon as it clears, we're shipping it. Like the comics will be in boxes ready to go, and we will fulfill immediately. And there's no need to wait.
Yeah, once Indiegogo, see a lot of people, if you've backed a couple projects, you figure it out that time of the project runs usually 30 days. Some people push it to 60. Okay. But 45 days really until the money actually gets in the hands of the people that run the project. Then you got to get that money to the, let's say if the book isn't done yet, you got to get to the printer, you got to get this, that, or colorist or inker or pencil or whoever. You're paying, and the price for shipping is included with the price of the book. You're not adding in anything extra.
Right, it's flat.
Yeah, it's a flat rate. And we, getting it, its main thing is getting it into the hands of people that want it, and hopefully people give it a shot. I mean, there's you never know, never know something you try. It's a try.
It's experiment, right? This can absolutely
it is an experiment.
Fail terribly, and that's okay.
One thing about this, there's something that people are very afraid of failure, but natural born losers like myself, we're used to it. And I'm not saying that as feel pity for me. No, I'm being serious here. It's like second place, third place, but at least trying. You could give up and sit on the bench. I'll never win. But if you don't try, you'll never find out. And that's one of those things. Like if you're going to give up, it's the not necessarily boot camp mentality, but it's like go ahead and quit. If you're going to quit, if you're going to let somebody else make you quit or a situation make you quit, good. We don't need you. You're dead weight. Get lost. And it's that in a way tough love, and it's like about going into it, and it's like, well, we might not do so great, but we're going to learn from it and come back stronger.
That's right. And that's why the point is to kind of show the math, if you will, show everything that's there. So I'm excited to do this. And by the way, there's a lot more coming. So there's a lot more to talk about here. A couple of questions. What about shipping internationally? So shipping internationally is hard to pin down as the price is variable. So what we're going to do is we're going to set material up. If you do live out of state, out of country, you'll be able to write us, and we are going to basically find a way to get that comic to you. There are ways to do it. Canada functions radically different from Mexico, from South America, but we'll find a way to get this comic to you. It was, I said, more than my feeble brain could figure out on Indiegogo how this is done, but we will provide that option to you. So I will put this out. And you're right, Jonathan, please emphasize the free domestic shipping. Yes, it's all bundled in. So we will put that there. This is shipping, and I will put some photos up of the campaign as soon as I smart enough to put it there, but it is shipping in a nice mailer that it's not Gemini brand. It looks like it. It's something that I've used before when I've shipped comics from the shop. So it will, I feel very confident it will be protected. All the usual caveats apply. If something absolutely blows up and it does not work and it gets to you damaged, then it will be replaced free of charge. We will do that. So absolutely, the goal here is to learn, and the goal here is to see what works. And there's more coming. So there are some different tiers. What you don't see in this, and I'm sure there'll be some people who have some questions about it, is, hey, why not clothing? Why not shirt options and all the rest? Those are really cool, I think, when campaigns do that. But I didn't want to put that burden on anyone of having it bundled into the project. So one of the things Larry and I've talked about, we'll put up a shop, and people will be able to kind of replicate the shop, that you can get whatever merchandise you want. You can kind of print on demand, hats, shirts, backpacks. If you want underwear with it, it's all on you. It's kind of your ability to kind of generate it the way you want. And that should be.
Well, that's one of those issues of a lot of campaigns. I think when you start out, you have stars in your eyes that you want to get the best, the kind of the best spread, and like have okay, you're going to have the T-shirt, you're going to have the 11x17 poster, you're going to have print, because that size of print, or even bigger posters. Then you got to have the right packaging. You got to have all the packaging. You got to have the right mailers. You can't just throw them into a soft pack and then ship it off, like slap a label on it, ship it off. You can, but then likelihood of you getting that same backer, it's like people. I think there's an issue in this in general. It's like, I want respect. It's like decency first. You got to start small. Decency. Treat people decent. It's like, okay. And the same thing with this. We're going small with this. We're going to a decent price point. It's like where well, you're not making no money. And I'm like, well, you could say, like, if you're I could charge $1 million per copy. It's like, well, it's like you could, but why would you? And it's also we're trying to get people in the hands.
I'm in favor of people making money. I definitely.
Well, me too. I'm a capitalist. Yeah.
I love people making money, and people should absolutely do this kind of stuff. My goal is to, like I said, the way I feel it is, the people who are watching this right now, you already have given some money to this. Because and this I've talked about this before, and I really mean it. When I do this YouTube channel, it's designed to be entertaining. It's designed to, really, it's selfish, because these are the conversations I have in a shop. These are the conversations that I could have for free. And with the pandemic and this pause and waiting and getting ready to get the shop open up and everything else, I don't get to have those conversations anymore. So this is a sorry substitute of me talking to myself in the car, but at least it provides me some engagement, and I enjoy that. So that's my goal. And so, but what I quickly found out is YouTube just screws you if you don't put ads up. They deprioritize you in the links. It's hard to find. They make your life difficult. So with a lot of irritation, I have to credit Wes for helping here. It's like kind of pointing to some articles and other things. I put up the ads, but very quickly I wanted to do something with that ad money. So the something is getting this stuff funded, basically taking that and putting this in, allows us to drive the price down for the comics, allows us to get some creators like yourself, Larry, and then other creators that are coming on and will be printing through here as well. And
including you. And that's a more important thing. We'll get to that a little later.
We'll get to that in a minute. But that's the plan, is that what we wanted to do is basically make it so that at least that entry-level risk to some extent is taken away from the creators, that they can get this stuff made without, being, in the hole. Or having to put money out of pocket to get that stuff done. We didn't, I wanted to create a system where we could get the comics out. The goofiest part of all this, bluntly, is that we're crowdfunding, but we don't. It's already done, so we're not really crowdfunding. We're We're trying to get some profit in the mix, but that's why the price should be lower. So that's what's going on here. That's the whole plan. Again, lots of people do lots of crowdfunding, and more power to them. I want to see more all overall, but it's cool. These are some comics. They're again bagged, boarded, in good shape, ready to go. It's good stuff, and that is the plan. So again, $10 is kind of a hidden price. It's obviously we've collected more of that, and we've recouped some of the costs. So now at this point for Larry, it's profit, which is great.
So, and that's one of the things. Like there is the downside of the loss of print media, especially print comics media. Even though as terrible as Wizard could be at times, it introduced me to a lot of interesting comics I would never heard of otherwise, and creators as well. And that scarring image, it will never leave my mind, of Mark Miller in a bra, in a pencil thin mustache, and that Wizard would use repeatedly when he was writing Authority and Ultimates, which is shocking. He reminded me of John Waters, but which is also a shocking thing. Do not watch Pink Flamingos. Stay away. But Wizard introduced the concept of the Zarek grant. I'd never heard that before, and I think Perch is in a way next generation version of the Zarek grant, where Zarek would be you submit your stuff, they basically pay for the printing, also shipping, getting it to but making a comic a reality, and then kind of helping get it out there into the world. And I think that's what you're doing. I don't think you intentionally thought about the Zarek grant, but in a way, that's what you're doing.
The idea is that it's so we're trying to create a good fund where we can get this stuff done. We're trying to create basically all the stuff that we had to figure out, share with people. So I mean, if you're out there and you want to make a comic book, hey, here's some here's a way to go do it, and here's the people we're going to talk to. Here's some. I mean, we got it printed through what was the name of the
Kablam?
Kablam, which did I have to admit, a very good job. They have a fulfillment service actually within themselves now that it makes it really easy. American company, very easy to work with, time zones, everything else. So
printed in America, which is also a good thing. No communist slave labor, and no waiting because of maybe war plans going to invade Taiwan. So
yeah, there you go. No
fun
none
stuff.
Of that kind of stuff. So it is that was the goal. So where is it available? Well, obviously it's starting on Indiegogo. That's not a political choice. It was literally the easier one to start with. I wish it was more complicated than that, but it really wasn't. It was just easier. If there's interest and people want, we can certainly put it on Kickstarter, and we can do that as an overlap. But it will be available in retail shops, and it will be available on Comixology. We have some retail shops that will sell it that have already ordered and got orders in. And then the other one, which I guess I have to wait at least a week before we can name the name, but there is a pop culture chain shop that is available across the country that will also be carrying this. And so that is an interesting twist that we'll put in all this. And I think that's what's there. Some people are asking about the name, the genre. We are getting into that. I want to get the kind of the basics out of the way first, but we absolutely will talk about kind of what the book's about. So anyway, try to make it reasonably priced, try to make it easy to step in, try to make it so that we can learn from this and help everyone else so people can go off and do more. And absolutely, we get this thing funded. I will somehow, I will eat Arby's for all of you. That's the sacrifice I will make.
Don't do it. You got so much to live for. And if you do, curly fries and mozzarella sticks do not count as Arby's. You actually have to eat the meat. Heavy quotes.
Yep. So no, not Spencer's or Hot Topic. It is a music-based, relatively small chain, but a good pop culture one, a good fit. And so we'll talk about that here when we can. So, but that there will be some options there, and that's the entire point here, is to put this out, try and make it easy, try and make it friendly. So let's talk a little bit about the book itself. So Larry, you mentioned this is one of those earlier sketches I sent. This is a very quick sketch, so nothing very fancy by any stretch of the imagination. Obviously, characters look very different from how they all go. But that is the idea here was that we create this world where you got two twins, basically, that are twins from different dimensions. We don't know which one's from which. I think the original pitch that, there's a kid in a cradle, basically, a baby. And then one day the parents come in, there's two babies in there. And they're not sure which came from where, but that's basically what kicks this off. And these two girls, as they grow up, they can travel between dimensions. They go on wacky adventures. You mentioned it's all ages. It is, but I would say it's not all ages. Like Dogman is all ages. It's all ages.
It's
Like
80s. 80s
it's
Marvel.
80s. It's
80s
80s
Marvel,
Marvel.
all ages. Yeah, where it's like
Yeah,
you can read Rom where he's like there's a family man. Turns out he's a dire wraith, and he blasts him in front of the guy's wife and kids. And oh, there's a dire
mhm,
wraith, and he gets sucked into limbo, and it's kind of traumatizing for the wife and kid. But
for
it
sure.
isn't overly grotesque. Though I do make that kind of art, and it isn't overly sexual, which I have no problem with drawing, but it's just not appropriate for this book. Uh,
Yep.
maybe a future comic, who knows? But the
It,
story itself, what it is about, and like you said, it was that kind of taking off that the it's the Hardy Boys, the Hardy Girls kind of thing, but then going, like I loved Sliders as a kid. I watched that stuff, religiously, and until they got to the Cro-Mag stuff, and I was like, and the brother is his brother, kind of, not twin, but this, whatever, Quinn's brother, but these things kind of played into it. But it's like the idea of being stuck to one like location. It's like I like to draw lots of things, and it's a adventure, fantasy, sci-fi with action, and it's heroic, but not in a superhero manner. It's more of more akin to almost like the opening to Return of the Jedi, where it's like completely different from everything else in the series.
mhm.
Swashbuckling, that kind of thing. It's similar to that tone, but
Yep.
comic book format. And I think there's a missing part of that. And like One Piece has that. A lot of manga have that, and it's like this isn't manga. That's even though it's black and white. That there's people that can replicate that stuff. You got your Adam Warrens and so on and so forth. But Brian Lee O'Malley with Scott Pilgrim had that be able to capture that energy. But the story itself is like these two one's kind of like very let's help the world, and others like let's just go have some fun. Can we just have fun? And so you have Liz and Betty, and they both end up running into hiccups here and there. It's just like like not comedic, not this is overly comedic, where they spend 3 or 4 pages talking about trouble at a dinner table, and like a lot of other comics do. But we
Mhm.
are, because this, even though like you said, you didn't have a direct hands-on for the comic day to day, you are almost like a good sounding board at the very least. And I think that's one of the things that's missing. Like a lot of people who work in, and then this is a collaborative effort to a degree, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to just going off my own and doing my own thing, making mistakes, and if I make a mistake, oh well, it happens, and then learn from it, down the line.
It's
Because
yeah, that's the idea. We're trying to learn. Like in this comic, I think you said it right. If you're a fan of Marvel, kind of in the '80s, it's going to have that feel to it. It's definitely adventure. It's something that tonally, it's probably fits that age group, that kind of teen age group and older. It's obviously the girls are they're not they're endowed. Let's say. I mean, so we're not. I don't know the best way to put it.
well, they're over 18.
They're over
They're
18. There you go.
they're not. It's like that. Like they're like 19, 20, around that age, and they've had some scrapes. Their personalities, I think, are pretty well defined as far as
Mhm.
you kind of pick up on within the first couple pages of the comic. You pick up on who they are, what kind of attitude. One, oh, look at that little puppy. Look at that turtle. Just go around it. Let's go do something else. Like, let me
Mhm.
just go. Like it's that kind of attitude. It's like impatient, you know, and
Yep.
it's kind of that dichotomy of working two characters together, and where you have like you can have solo characters. Like I love a good solo character story where you wander like, your Conan types wander into a village, and I have another comic like similar to that, a fantasy action horror comic called Rutung. This mustard colored knight with glowing red eyes and this Germanic style helmet head, and actual
Yeah.
helmet head with the pike, the pickle halper thing from World War I kind of deal. But there is a issue where bouncing off each other. If you don't have that kind of thing, you're just having a bunch of talking heads, and just I don't mind thought balloons, but have you ever tried to draw a thought balloon? It's not as easy as you think.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it. Well, back in the day, it's like you had to get paid by the word, so you'd have people have very loud thoughts and very talkative in their heads, like I am right now.
It's
But
no, it's some good stuff. It's a good story. Like I said, it's done in one. It does set up a bigger universe, as we said earlier. For people who are joining, it absolutely you've already finished the pencils, and you're more than 2/3 of the way through inking the second issue, which again introduces some more superhero elements to the book. And so it is something that we plan to continue. But we also don't want to do this thing where you get this comic and it's like, oh, I just paid for half a comic. You get a
yeah,
complete full story, and that's what you got. So people are asking for zooming in. Again, if you go to the Indiegogo, I think you can get a much closer view than what I can do here, just running this as a static slideshow.
well,
But
I think you can actually drop the link to the Indiegogo in the chat since you are the.
yep,
So you can go ahead and drop that in there, and I
I
think
have,
there
yep.
are there's the cover and everything like that. But if there is any issues, like the international shipping, because I know we have some people. I think I'm not mistaken. Deviant Porg, if he's still in there in the chat,
Uh-huh.
I don't think he's from the States. I believe he's French. If you're not French, if you're Belgian, I'm sorry.
Grave
No,
insult there. Yeah.
Bondisne, the Elric stuff, 1010, great
Mhm.
stuff. Wonderful content y'all people make. But better than lawyers and guns, like we do here.
There
But
you go.
but yeah, whatever. But so if there's like you want a copy and people like those around the world that because with the shipping, I think it was recently just in September, they've U.S. Postal Service has canceled first class shipping to
It's gotten
Australia.
much worse, like
Yeah,
way worse.
it's like they're trying to
Yeah.
cut everybody off, and hopefully that ain't the case. But the issues are coming up where it'd be easier to ship it directly to a shop. And I've talked to people that live
Mhm.
in certain Southeast Asian territories. It's like, yeah, send it to me. It's probably gonna get stolen in the mail. Maybe if you send it to a shop and somebody that actually has not an individual, because then a little bit more higher standing and higher profile, you can't easily just snatch stuff. But okay. So if there is an issue, and their contact information is on the page, and
Yep.
then if you have a shop and like, okay, I'd like to order a copy, but I don't want it to come directly to me, whatever. You
For
could
sure.
go and get it through have your shop take a look into it, or contact Perch or myself, and we'll get it.
And
We'll try to get something sorted out for you. I don't want to guarantee anything, because that's the thing. Like, anybody guarantees things if they fall through. Oh, you said you would. And I'm like, well, we'll do the best we can, and I think that's honestly
absolutely.
better than lying to you and saying, yeah, no problem.
No,
It's
I
like,
think there are options. The regions are all very different. I think that we'll work our hardest to get the book to you. I mean, I'm very frustrated, very frustrated with the cost of shipping. I mean, bluntly, Larry knows this. I wanted a lower price point, and wanted to subsidize this more so we could get a lower price point. The fact that the shipping is half the cost is just absolutely ridiculous for me. Now, I think it could have been a lot cheaper. We just threw it in like a manila envelope and mailed it to you, but then it's going to come like garbage. So this is absolutely, the shipping is terrible, but that will help. And this is, it's I don't say bare bones because you're getting a lot out of it, but it's the start. And again, the goal here is a template. I know I've got some negative comments about why is it on Indiegogo. Again, convenience. I apologize if you feel like that's a political choice. It's not. We
it
will
is
do
it
other
is
places.
unfortunately easier to deal with Indiegogo than it is to deal with Kickstarter. And unfortunately, I ain't saying Indiegogo is Wild West, but in very much like there's hey, they're happily hosting Gemini Jump on Indiegogo currently, so they had no issue with it.
Mhm.
Hopefully won't. They could decide to like, oh, we're getting rid of you. But there's like Kickstarter. I think they because they're more the preeminent as far as they've been around longer than
For sure. For
Indiegogo,
sure.
and so they way more picky, I believe,
It
for the
is.
way it seems. So
And if this is if being on Indiegogo first enough to cause you to rage quit the whole thing, I'm sorry, but that's on you. I think that's a silly choice, but it's yours to make for sure. And the other thing is, and this is again, it's a showcase. I think it's a good book. It tells a complete story. I think you'll be happy with it. But you may look at this and go, and no offense, Larry, yeah, this art isn't for me. I like something else. That's
yeah.
fine.
Well, that's the
Cool.
thing. It's like I get that all the time, and like that's one thing. Like a lot of people say, like, "Oh, what do you tell young artists?" I'm like, "Who am I to say anything to anybody?" I will run my mouth like I am now, but
Hmm.
when I'm prompted, and on Twitter as well, and other places, like from a comic book store. But there's one thing: there's your art won't be for everyone. There's people that don't like Jim Lee. There's people that don't like Rob Liefeld. People love Rob Liefeld and will pay a lot of money for Rob Liefeld original art or covers. They'll buy that 1 in 50, buy 50 copies of one comic in stores. Like, I'm not getting that Rob
Yeah.
Liefeld variant
No,
unless
it's
you pay them
crazy.
50.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you've encountered those kind of people for anybody.
It's
And
it's just a crowdfunding platform, and quite frankly, I would say to everybody, my ideal goal would be to use neither, especially with this new process where it's all printed out and we're just trying to get it to you. I mean, I'd like a better option, and so hopefully there will be a better option, a long term option where we could just have it fulfilled completely independent of this stuff. So yeah, it's I think it's a method, but we will see how it all goes. The goal here again is to set something up that we could reuse and that people can get some value out of. That's the whole goal. So lots of tiers here. Obviously, if somebody sees something and they like, you have some suggestions, bring it on in. I'm seeing some suggestions about Shopify and other things. Yeah, absolutely. There's going to be some other options here, and you'll see kind of one of those in a moment here. But definitely, there's going to be those kinds of options. I think this is a one step, and not again, not because of any political aspect of Indiegogo. Just why give them a cut? Frankly, of this. So anyway, it's all good. Let's talk about, so, obviously a little bit of the second issue. You're going to bring in some of the superhero element. There's the one page I inked. Like,
there is there is an image which is on screen currently on the left hand side. I did the pencils, you did the inks. We have just adjusted some things since this image went up. You're working in the comic, things change, but kind of a taste of things to come.
yeah,
Though this doesn't mean he's inking book 2 because he's too busy
I
on
wish.
his
Yeah.
project, and that would be nice. But if you'd have to basically be like, family, I'm sorry, I must go away for 30 days. I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna ink. You might see me come out with a beard like Ash from the deleted scene, the deleted ending for Army of Darkness. I slept too long. You, you come out looking all haggard, Ted Kaczynski style, with ink stains or whatever. But this is a taste of things to come, what to expect in future installments. Because at the very least 3. At the very least 3, but it may be more. But there is something, like when you're creating, you don't want to get burned out. And the same thing, like I was saying, I got off track, and that's something that happens all the time. I got off track, but when it comes to your art, if you're an artist, not everybody's gonna like your work, and if you can't get behind that, if you can't understand that's going to be the case, people will openly tell you that, yeah, this looks awful. Why do you even bother?
Mhm.
And the coldness of that, it's like, oh, you almost got to respect it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. It's like, you know what? You have no shame. You have no empathy for anybody. You'd make a good business. You'd run a good business. It's like you would grind them people into dust, but
Well,
you'd make a profit.
I mean, the
But
entire goal here, and as you'll see, is just how do we, not just for Larry here, not just for this one comic or any set of comics, is how do we get a good system for everyone, where you have a really direct manner to get something done, get something printed, have some confidence in it, ship it, and basically get as many people out of the way of that as possible. That's the goal. And that's who we have. Ash is asking why we have the labels turned off on StreamYard. I have no idea. I didn't realize I turned off the labels on StreamYard. No, they're there. They're just tiny. Oh, I don't know what's going on. That's stupid. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Why are the labels turned off? Screw it. Anyway, this is about learning and this is about building. I have no idea why the labels are turned off, Ash, but there you have it. So like we've said, more is coming. Absolutely. So what next? This is a good chance to kind of chat about some of that. So obviously more comics, more creators, including ones from Larry here. We're going to continue to work to build a supply chain that everyone can take advantage of, find more ways for alternative funding, print first, promote after. So there's, again, everybody can do their own thing. And this is not throwing shade. I'm sure there's some people who are,
Oh, it
of the
doesn't
belief
matter.
that, yeah,
Why do you even bother? There's people like,
yeah,
see, they actually did their work first. See, they're trying to make us look bad. Well, it doesn't
no,
feel that
nobody's trying
way.
to make anyone look bad. It's craziness.
But that's the thing.
Um,
People like the slightest thing. It's like you used Indiegogo. What do you want them all right? Like what are you
yeah,
talking about? It's a platform. It's like the two platforms that are out there, unfortunately. So you got one or the other. Which one's easier to go with? Well, Indiegogo.
yep,
And that's just the way it is. It's like, okay, you should have tried to get Kickstarter first. I'm like, doesn't at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if and because the book's already done, and if Indiegogo decides to say nope, we're getting rid of you, if we don't like you, you're
yeah,
gone.
sure,
Okay, well we're going to have it in shops. We're going to have direct like contact or
absolutely,
online store eventually,
absolutely.
and
Get all those
it's going to
pieces done. Yeah,
it's going to be out there. This isn't like the one thing I cannot stand is vaporware, and this isn't that. And it's like I don't mind an idea from someone I trust, but there's so few people. Since 2018, my backing projects has dropped completely off the radar.
well,
It's
and
that's unfortunate,
in addition to that, it's so painful because there's some really good people who I think are they try and get this done, and then they're defeated by the various kind of nonsense people, the companies that get in the way, that remove campaigns, that get. I mean, there's just so many obstacles people face, including the shipping, where some really good big names that I've talked to who will be part of this in the future, that we're already working with and getting work done on. They've lost a ton of money doing this stuff because the shipping screws them. So we're trying to just take out some of those risks and see what's going on. And again, the thing that hopefully becomes irrelevant is the Indiegogo, Kickstarter, all that kind of stuff. That as soon as we can make that irrelevant, we will. And that's the point to it. I see some suggestions here about PayPal and other things are great ideas. I think we will definitely get there, but this is what all this is about. And then mobile client. We will have a mobile client out in the near future. I know some people have already heard this from me, and we've got something built and being tested. This will be on a digital platform. It will use an open source model that anybody can use, not just people working with me, just something that anybody can go and do. The link to the Indiegogo or to the campaign is pinned, so you should see it at the top of the chat. If you don't, I will go ahead and post it in here as well. But that is the plan. So that is where we're going. So that this should be pretty good. It should be fun, and we'll get a lot of books out there that people can take advantage of. And again, it's about opening up more doors so people can get comics out, because that's what we want. Yeah. And then
the more access to people. That's the thing. The more access, the better. And so getting stuff out there. It's one thing to have an idea. It's another thing to have it out there, have it done, and ready to have the ability to get it to people. Yes, you do have your Tapas, your Webtoons, Substack, which I don't even bother with it. I people like it's like that and NFTs and stuff like that. And cryptocurrency. Well, you have a crypto wallet. I'm like, power goes out. What are you going to do then? Huh?
well,
Or the internet goes out. I've had internet outages and power outages about 2 or 3 times a week for the past about month or so. It's like just more, like whatever. I got a candle, got lanterns, I got lights. I'm good. Well, what do you do with that internet?
Yeah.
Radio.
Well, I mean, definitely for all the people.
I got a classic radio station to listen to. So yeah.
For all the people who are backing digital, we absolutely will start switching out the pages randomly after we have delivered it, for sure. I'm joking. I'm completely joking. But this is what we're trying to. We're trying to make some nice open ways to do it. And like people say, it's really not about these campaigns. It's about, bluntly, if a creator makes a comic like Larry, like some of the other people, like what Brett's doing, like all the different people who are making comics, they should be able to put something out, keep all the money, or as much as possible. And we should be looking at ways to kick people out of the money chain who aren't bringing real value other than just a site to host. We can do that on our own. So this is about avoid giving as much away as possible so the money goes into the pockets of the creators is the plan. So that is where we are. It's sci-fi pulp. It will be fun. I think, again, you'll have a good time with this. So what's this? Larry mentioned it. Yes, this thing that I'm writing and drawing, which is overdue.
We're way bigger than anything I do. I'm actually looking forward to it. So yeah,
it's the basic premise is basically, and this is, I think, the first time I've talked about this piece of it. It's a world where there's lots of superheroes. And but the emergence was an accident. Basically, as somebody, kind of the first reveal of powers caused a major accident and a kind of a classic fuck up. And it kind of tilted how superheroes emerged into the world. And what it does is it toys with the idea that if there's lots of superheroes running around, what incentive do people have to actually protect themselves or be reasonable or rational? I mean, when you believe that your entire city is going to get flattened at any given minute, what's the point to continuing on? And so this is a world that's gone long past its expiration date to some extent, and the people interact with it. It's definitely gritty. It's definitely extremely violent. I would say it's probably the most violent thing I've ever done, and it will be hopefully some fun. As you can see, I'm going overboard with the detail to a stupid degree where I don't even know if it's going to get printed properly, but it will be fun. And yes, the name is Mute. So anyway, it'll be a crazy little ride. There won't be variants. So and Larry, there weren't any variants on your book.
No,
imagine that.
I don't have. Okay, I'm about to lie. No, I'm not going to lie here. I have issues with variant covers when the artist isn't doing any interior work. It seems like a ripoff.
Yeah.
It's like it comes from them Canon film covers and posters and box art and everything, which looks like an amazing film. You watch it, it's garbage. Same thing. It's like, well, you got an Alex Ross cover, but some garbage Steven Universe style interiors or something. Like, what is this? It's like Alex Ross ain't as good as he once was, and I actually like his more pen and ink work more than his painted work now. Mm-hmm. But I like, if you want to do the cover, even if you cheat, even if the artist on the cover who did one of the variant covers only does like one panel, like it's a dream sequence or something, like a character saying "wake up" or something, cheating. But still, it's a personal little pet peeve, and it's something that it doesn't bother anybody else. It's like, okay, we get this artist. Like, that doesn't really represent the book. But if you got something else, but it adds a little incentive, and I get that. Hey, it's a marketing term. It's like 3D. It's like 3D is great if you're in the theater. You're at home, with a dork wearing the big old 3D goggles. If you still got one of the 3D TVs, it's like, I'm not getting rid of that. It's a 3D TV. They don't make those no more, or maybe they do. I don't know. I've been at Best Buy.
I think that's done now. I was stupid enough to invest in one of those once, but it's fun. Anyway, there's a lot of good projects. A lot of the people who've been on this channel, you will not be surprised to learn, are going to be involved in the future with books that you've heard before. So that'll be fun. But it's a lot of good stuff. But the key here is, we're launching this book for Larry here, Gemini Jump. Again, nice big book, printed, done, safe. Get it to you right away. And where did the name? You came up with the idea of Gemini Jump? What's the origin to that?
Okay, because the image you originally put, the sketch of the two jumping rooftop to rooftop, which actually inspired one of the promo pieces, which is actually in the back cover of the comic. There is this image of them two jump, the two of them jumping, and in your pencil form. And I was like, okay, twins jumping. Gemini jumped, even though it's a G and a J, but the phonetically sounds very familiar. You know what? I like that. It's simple, straightforward. It's like, okay, what do? They jump world to world. Okay. They literally jump. And unfortunately, because of their emotional states, sometimes if they're calm, if they're kind of getting along, jump's not so bad. Sometimes it can get kind of rough. And that's one of those things. Like, okay, just like anybody, it's like almost like being shackled to someone. One can't jump to a world by themselves, but without the other. So you get separated, you're stuck until that person gets unstuck. There is I guess you could say the danger dynamic, or whatever you want to call it, the rising tension of like, this one's caught, or this one's in trouble, danger, and anything. And it's one of those things that adds potential for future stories and what have you. And I think there is something, just the simplicity of it. And I like it's the KISS method, the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. And that's how I try, in a way, how we're trying to run the campaign, and also how, to make comics. And unfortunately, it's like, well, that's just stupid. That's just dumb. Okay, yeah, it is. But that's how I do it.
Fun. It's comics. It's
comics.
But I hope some people do absolutely, check it out. This is going to be fun. Yes, this deck absolutely needs more animated transitions. It's, like I said, this is a fun experiment. I'm excited to do it with you, and I hope people go and check it out. Again, we try to make it as safe as possible in terms of money. I think you will be pleased with what you get. for sure.
Yeah,
And
and the next book, we are, like I said, this isn't something that's going to fly by night. We're not going to be doing it again, kind of thing. I am in a way the first one out the gate. That's all it really happens to be, because this is going to
congratulations
be
for being the guinea pig. Yes.
yes. I don't. Hey, it's I feel like when the first guy to go, it's like, if a man goes faster than 30 miles an hour, he will surely die. That kind of thing. It's like horse can only go so fast, and it's like, they were expecting like somebody's skull to come out the back of their head, if you go too fast. And or the first person, the Wright brothers, which, like, let's get on this wooden contraption with a 1-stroke, 2-stroke engine, like a leaf blower engine, and the dunes of Kitty Hawk and all this other kind of stuff. And the first person in space, which I'm pretty sure is like, oh, first man in space, Yuri Gagarin. No, I'm pretty sure it was another Russian. He's going, as he's coming back through the atmosphere. He just didn't make it. But there, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. And I think there is, a potential that this will go well, and hopefully it will. But you never know. I mean, that's one of those things. It's
that's
an experiment.
That's a great part about taking the risk out of it, to some extent, is that we make this, so it's it's all designed to be fun. That's the plan, and to do some basic things. So this is the ownership. Somebody mentioned before, this is Larry's. He owns it, and he can do what he wants with it. It's not anything that I'm sticking my hands into. And hopefully we do get some good support from the comic community. I'd like to think this is apolitical, and we'll get that we'll get that out and get going. But I'm very pleased. I'm very kind of surprised, thankful. It's, we are at 85%. I mean, keep in mind the $500 funding goal is completely arbitrary. It's, I think that's what, that's the minimum they make you put on there.
But cool. Yeah, so we're almost all the way there already. So thank you everyone who's backed it. And like with the information for the campaign itself, all sketch card and sketch commissions, illustrated commission perks once the campaign wraps up and everything. Once everything goes that way, and after it wraps up, that's when I'll contact you to find out who do you want as part of your single character commissions. And I think there is there's a good thing about this community that you've actually created around you. I mean, there is a actual enjoyment of comics and of comics and what's going on and everything like that, and being informed. And I wanted to say and not just appreciate for the help on the book and getting this thing launched, and trying this experiment out, because you didn't have to do this. You really did.
No, it's fun. I mean, as Larry has it. So I want to come clean on something. I felt bad for Larry, because this product has been done, printed, sitting in boxes, waiting for 4 months now.
Well,
5 months now.
Everything's been done. Everything was done. Funnily enough, January 6th. 2021. Nothing happened that day. My comic was done. But my comic was not at the Capitol. That's for sure.
We'll think of something fun. It is funny though. Like, we're launching it on the 6th of October, and it was done. Physically done. I mean, and it wasn't printed until a little bit later, due to real life commitments for both of us. And it's one of those things, and it was no rush. It's like, we gotta find a good time, still, like, you gotta think 10 months ago, still pretty crazy. It's not as crazy now in a way it is, but it's, things are mellowing out a little bit, at least around here in my neck of the woods in North Carolina. But nowhere. I mean, there's that's one of the upsides of living in the middle of nowhere. You don't have to really worry about a lot of the big city issues. So good luck, dude. But Larry, so congratulations, you're completely funded.
Oh wow, yeah.
There you go.
Well, thank you everyone for making it happen.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's absolutely nuts. Well, thank you everybody again. Part of jumping onto this is that we will post what happened, what we did, how to do it, try and use this as a teaching adventure for all of you who want to do this stuff. Definitely put out the platforms there if you want to participating in this. Let's build, I hate this word, let's build a community, for lack of a better word, of helping out artist creators, getting new ways people can ship things. I'm very excited to talk about the little retail shop that's going to be carrying this as well, because I think there's an opportunity for others to get in there and just try and do some new things. This is about being disruption. This is about being disruptive, and disruption. We want to make it so that more comic books gets into the hands of people. And I definitely, God, if the, pardon my expression, if the fucking post shipping could ever come into a reasonable place, then this would be even less. Absolutely nuts. But thank you very much. It's gratifying. Larry, congratulations.
Thank you. I am actually stunned. I'm it's good surprises. There you go. That's good, a happy surprise.
We're there's so much more to come, and definitely this is just the beginning of putting a lot of stuff. What is the name of the retail shop? You got to give me a week on that. I got to get them to clear it. So
at least a week. At least a week. We're working things out, but dude, we're doing what you hate. It's like when the comics pros go like, guys, you won't believe this thing I'm working on. Oh, and then the fans like, hey, what are you working on? But there's like, they go, oh, I'll DM you, fellow creator. I'll tell you. But the fan, you pleb, you ain't getting nothing. It feels like that. Let's not do that again.
I am excited to find, and by the way, even the small things, there's a video promo that runs in this. I have a template saved, so I could literally just, paste this template out there for people to grab and use themselves if they want to, make videos for their campaigns. I mean, there's so much here that we can share and help everybody do things. Yeah, Disruption Comics is a pretty awesome name. We could do that, but
we just put a big D and C. Oh no!
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, might get sued. Anyway, it's hopefully is a nice time for this again. And no offense, Larry, this may not be your thing, which is absolutely cool. The goal is to put things out that lots of people can have. Not everybody's going to love everything, and at least we share the process and keep it going.
Yeah, I'd like to be as transparent as possible. Without I'm not going to turn my skin invisible like Hollow Man or something. But
that would be creepy.
I think that would be creepy, and that's a very creepy movie. Paul Verhoeven, what do you expect? But I think there is something with this process. Like, okay, if shipping's included with the comic, action adventure, a little sci-fi, fantasy, 2 gingers, very rare these days in any entertainment medium. They're killing off the gingers. We've got to save the gingers. Yeah, just because they have no. I joke. It's like the whole no soul thing. It's like very soulful. But
by the way, somebody asked, and I meant to mention this earlier. It's like, hey, wait a minute. Is there a bunch of ads in this? Is that why the price is low? No, there's 0 ads.
No ads. Nope. The only thing in there would be the title page. Okay, the cover, front cover, image, interior credits, 48 pages of story. The basically trailers, because that's a trailer. Basically, a trailer of what's coming next, because trailers supposed to come after, not previews, which is before a movie. And then the back cover, which is a promo image in inspiration of the initial sketch you came up with, of them in this weird fantasy, almost like Arabian Nights kind of village, which may or may not play into future stories. And it's just pretty much straightforward. Totally. And that's one thing, like complete stories. That's the one thing all my stuff, whether it was when I was doing 6-page DIY mini comics, printing them up at Staples myself and copying at the copy machine. The guy's like, what are you doing? And he comes like, come over here, I'll show you how to make a comic. He's like, really? You're making comics? I'm like, yeah, it's not the comics you think of, but it's a comic. It's one staple. It's, 8 pages total. And it's like, oh. And it's like, I could use this for my church. I'm like, well, not this comic. You want this comic for your church? No. I was like, just messing with him. He was a nice guy. But going through this kind of stuff. And it's like, whether that or this, I have no problem explaining the creative process and the work process of going into this. Yep. Because there's a lot of mystery still. And if it wasn't for, I have to think, it wouldn't be on this creative endeavor if it wasn't for Jim Mahfood and the Wizard Edge comic. It was Comic Magazine. It was he had a story article about how to make mini comics, and it breaks down all you need. And if it wasn't for that genesis, and also like being transparent, you may not like his work. What is that weird graffiti looking stuff? I didn't like his work at first, but I liked the process, and I grew into it. And I think there's something to be said for, like, you don't have to 100% like every single thing, but if you can take something from it, you can find the usable bits. It's like, okay, you learn from
Yep.
others, you learn from others' mistakes. You know,
Well,
that's why unfortunately, that's one of the reasons for the no international shipping, because I've had known horror stories of people who opened up international shipping and didn't account for rising shipping rates because campaigns in, books got to go, like sometimes it's a year or two before that book actually gets out there, rates go skyrocket and you're out of pocket. You actually
mhm.
go into debt just to get your book out there
Yeah, which
or
I have
refund.
definitely some people have done. I mean, we've interviewed some people who have had that experience. So it's hopefully every time, every launch, it gets easier. I'm just excited to get this kicked off. Again, get this to where lots of people can participate. I'm just humbled and thankful for everyone to do this. And hopefully this is a good arrangement. I mean, with scale should come some price drops as well. We absolutely have to drive down costs. We have to get things quicker, easier, more safe for creators. I mean, it's a hard, too many things to juggle here, but that is the goal, and and most of all have some fun. So I think it's a fun book. It definitely has that kind of 80s feel to a comic of adventure. Again, something you could give to a kid. My daughter, my older
I
daughter,
was shocked.
has read it. She's read it. She will review it and rip it apart like she does everything. But no, she is absolutely we'll do a review of it here and we'll put that up. But I mean, it's you could give it to a kid, but it's definitely not written for a kid. So I'm very thankful to give this a shot. There is so we go down the checklist. Unless I'm vastly mistaken, there is no dinner scenes in this comic. No eating. I think there's zero eating in this.
There
If there's
is
eating,
no.
somebody is eating and running.
Okay, no, there's no eating.
No eating.
There
Okay.
is no.
There's
Okay, what's the other things?
there's no real romance.
There the closest thing to like there's no like 2 or 3 pages like with
Yeah.
like a certain Mr. Miracle comic where it's basically the same image copy and pasted for like
Yeah.
two
None of
pages.
that. No.
None of that. Yeah, so it's like basically the stuff you hate about comics, you won't find it here. Uh, except for the one thing you hate about comics, they actually end and you're enjoying it. You have to wait
Oh
for
well,
the next one.
that.
So there you
Here we go.
go. Uh,
Yep.
but I think there's though.
No food, no gala. That's true. No,
Man, I
no
should have
weird,
included a gala. Man,
no
he,
fashion changes. Yeah.
that's
Um,
unfortunate. Yeah.
at no point during the dialogue do you just put a black box over it and then censor whatever the characters are saying.
And
Uh,
no lesbian
yeah,
ginger romance since they are twins. This isn't
that would be
this isn't
creepy.
that kind of
That's
comic.
true.
Though I
There
mean
are
there are
there's plenty.
the internet's a terrible place.
Yeah,
Just
no,
admit it.
there's definitely some. There's definitely word balloons, but this is not a dialogue heavy. I mean, there's a lot of movement. You have at least 4 or 5 different kind of scene changes. I mean, big world changes in this.
Okay, I'll break it down. You have
Yeah,
one, two,
there's no internet gas.
three,
Yeah,
four, five technically, and yeah, five big changes, 5 changes, 5 different
yeah.
areas or different parts of that area where it's not just a single room.
Nope. It's somebody made the comment earlier. There is a quantum leap feel to it. I would say. I think that's probably on track.
Somebody mentions in the chat, Andrew Burton. No, it's
Sliders.
not supernatural fanfic, but it's the first 5 seasons of Supernatural where it was actually kind of good before they decided to keep it going for another decade.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas that played into because I actually enjoyed that show for a bit. There was a little bit of that, like that fan communities can ruin things.
No, for sure.
Unfortunately, fan comes from fanatic for a reason. But it's like Quantum Leap, Sliders, a little bit of the Winchester brothers from Supernatural, a little bit
It's
of
just
Scooby Doo, Hardy Boys, old school Hanna Barbera. It's
mm,
not just one thing. It's not like, hey, this is. I loved Invincible the comic until like the fact that like you could show bones breaking out through skin and teeth, but
yeah.
you
We don't
couldn't
go
show
that. This doesn't go that dark for sure.
no, no, no.
My comic absolutely will.
No, your
Absolutely.
comic will. That's one thing I love. But one thing I
There,
can't stand with comics, like you show all the violence, but it's America though, that you can't show. You can show all the violence, but you can't show like breasts or
yeah,
a woman's buttocks
yeah.
because that's just too far. But I can show bones coming out of skin and teeth flying out and
No, I mean,
broken faces and dead kids, but you can't show that. Like, what's wrong with you
I
people?
mean, I'm not one to. I mean, I've got a scene in the book where somebody takes a wrench and beats somebody to death with it. So, but that's not in this comic. That's not in Gemini Jump. You don't have that. So it's fun. I think you'll have a good time, and I should keep it. But we do have to wrap this up. But Larry, I think before this is over, we'll definitely come on again, talk more about it. And the link here is in the video. It's pinned to the comment. You'll see it on Substack. We'll put some material out. I'll put it in some videos, or at least some links to it so you can get to it. But I hope you check it out. And I absolutely hope, thanks. And thank you, Jeff, for stopping by. Thank you, Brett Booth, for stopping by.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. Yeah, wonderful.
I appreciate your support.
And thank you all for those that backed. And thanks for those who came in and at least giving us, hearing us out. You may be like, it's not for me, or oh man, this
totally okay. Yeah.
But hey, that's your personal taste. Like, there's people that don't like popular movies. There's people that like, why do you like this terrible movie? It's got like 5 score on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I like it. And it's like, you're like, oh, you got terrible taste. Like, you know what? Let people enjoy what they enjoy, as long as they hurt nobody. Also, it isn't like a crime against nature. But there's some comics art, man. I've read some bad comics. Like, oh, this is Holy Terror. Oh, this is the worst comic ever. I'm like, you have not seen some of the comics I've seen.
Okay. Well, there's some stuff coming, but thank you again, everybody, for doing this. And yes, we funded in the hour, so I will eat an Arby's for you, all of you. I will have some Arby's, and then I will get sick and die, and then my wife will have to fulfill this. So. You're putting the burden on her, really.
The children will be your wife and children will have to carry on the burden.
This is what will happen. More to come. This is going to be. I mean, we're getting this to very quickly a monthly thing, and I'll do some promotion. I think Larry certainly will go off and do some promotion, and thank you again. We have crossed $602, so 120% of this very arbitrary $500 goal that Indiegogo makes you do. So again, humbled, and thank you very much. Thank you, everybody in the chat who comes. This is a fun. We're in this crazy adventure together. This is very much. There's a lot of experts out there who do these crowdfunding campaigns, and they kick ass and do a great job. I'm just a novice trying to pull this together. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I'm the one on the other end running this thing, but yeah, we're working through this together. We're figuring it out, and if no website, Larry King Undead on DeviantArt, Twitter, Instagram. And you can find me there in my work, and drop me a line, and we'll sort something out if you want to see what I do. Okay. But and also YouTube, Larry King Undead. So it's been a while since I've posted anything because I've been working on the comic. But we're.
It's good to have this out here, and congratulations, Larry. And again, thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. Lots more to come, and this is an adventure we're on together. So. There we go.
Let's stretch goal suggestion: $1,000 to go for Perch to go to Olive Garden. I can't do that.
It's not nearly enough money to go to Olive Garden. No.
The breadsticks are bones. You don't understand. They just boil bones, and I call them breadsticks. The bones of the workers are moved too slow. That's what happened.
Cool. Well, thank you, everybody's support. Thank you, everybody who's. I'm seeing some people say you're going to go share the links. I very much appreciate that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to everybody soon. Thanks for listening. Thanks for backing.
Take care. Have a great night.